cost of power is reduced. We invest around. We'll have created enough jobs for our people. They'll pay taxes, and our country will prosper, Mr. Speaker. But selling every single asset of the country to raise money, Mr. Speaker, without having made sure that corruption is stopped in the country is a waste of time. A lot of money is lost to corruption daily, in billions. Unless we make sure that ESCC is strengthened, those who have stolen from the state return or face jail. For countries like China to prosper, Mr. Speaker, there is a death sentence for a corrupt person. But there are so many cases pending at ESCC. Very few have been prosecuted by the DPP. The DPP has its role. ESCC investigates. If the investigation is not up to standard, Mr. Speaker, any corrupt person will be acquitted, and the monies will never be recovered for the benefit of the state. So our biggest problem, and even what Singapore dealt with first, what Malaysia dealt with first, was corruption. And unless we deal with corruption, Mr. Speaker, whatever sweet things, whatever sweeteners we put about the development in this country, Mr. Speaker, will never happen. Even the said development, Mr. Speaker, is done with the partners, PPPs, and even countries who want to partner with us. The dual carriage to Mombasa from Nairobi was meant to be done 4 or 5 years ago by the American companies. Mr. Speaker, after some time, things seem to be changing. The American companies of today are ready, but the government started shifting to China, where they can get contractors, probably will be able to collude with 1 or 2 engineers or other people who are going to do this. And we want this dual carriage to begin because we have already partnered, Mr. Speaker. We should really allow the Americans to do the dual carriage. We should go into public-private partnerships, and I'm sure we'll do the highways. Mr. Speaker, you cannot do 50 dams, meaning a dam per a county, a big one, and also maybe another one to supplement the water for supply to Nairobi, in one of the neighboring countries, counties, Mr. Speaker. If Thwake Dam has never been completed, Mr. Speaker, it is really ridiculous for there not to be a budget for Thwake Dam, for the government funding not to have been taken to Thwake Dam, and we keep on borrowing, Mr. Speaker, keep on having cowboy contractors who steal the borrowed money, Mr. Speaker, and it's shared with the senior government officials, and then you expect, Mr. Speaker, that we do 50 dams in this country, Mr. Speaker. Let's complete Thwake Dam, which is 96%, Mr. Speaker. The road Tamaki, most of the proposed roads, Mr. Speaker, are only 20 kilometers, Mr. Speaker. In the case of Ukia Emali in Makueni, 20 kilometers, Mr. Speaker, gets to a place called Matiriko. The remaining journey, which connects to the other Tamax Road and to Watertown, Mr. Speaker, if it's not done at all and it has a bridge, no bridges and the heavy rivers block the roads during the rainy season, Mr. Speaker, it will be a waste of time. So, Mr. Speaker, I will propose that the country be...
Senator Mofayagata Mwenda.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me thank you. Honorable Speaker, the presidential speech get across very many aspects of life. It built a lot of hope to Kenyans. Speaker, if you read through this speech, Honorable Speaker, you realize that Kenya is heading towards a great future. Honorable Speaker, if you look at the resolve that the President has for the agriculture, the resolve the President has for infrastructure in this country, the resolve that the President has for the economy of this country, you realize, Honorable Speaker, that Kenya will never be the same again. Honorable Speaker, if you look at the infrastructure, which is a critical element in as far as the growth of the economy is concerned, the President has captured very deeply on various roads that the President wants to expand, including the Moya Meru Road, which is very critical. This is maybe to open up areas in Meru and some parts of Isiolo, some parts of Embu, and so many other roads that have been captured, Honorable Speaker, including the road that has been promised to be launched. This is the Loni Mau Road, which is going to open areas in some parts of the western part of this country. That is the only way, Honorable Speaker, this country can benefit from this kind of arrangement, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I would urge Kenyans to be patient because no, I've had a lot of sentiment expressed by quite a number of people regarding the economy and so forth. But Honorable Speaker, let's be very sincere. We are not where we were in 2022 when this government took over. We have seen some very serious changes. We have seen a very drastic moves, especially in the housing project. We have seen changes in the sham arrangements and so forth. So, Honorable Speaker, it is important for these countries to realize that it takes a bold decision, it takes some courage, it takes some serious decisions for leadership to shape this country. We cannot shape the country through rhetoric. And I'm happy that the President has realized this. That's why he has taken some very hard decisions to make sure that some of the projects that have been abandoned by the previous regimes have been initiated, however painful. And I'm very sure in the future Kenyans will just come to realize that what the President was doing for this country was for the benefit of the generations to come. So I'm happy, Honorable Speaker. On agriculture, Honorable Speaker, I think there are quite a number of issues, including the expanded irrigation projects across the country. And on education, Honorable Speaker, it is also important that we realize that the country is heading towards the right direction. So in this arrangement, Honorable Speaker, I wish to support the President and the government, and I'm happy that Kenyans are going to realize the fruit of these serious and decisions that the government is taking. Honorable Speaker, I thank you and I support.
Okay, Senator Wakili Hilary.
That was quick. You ahead. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to have comments on the speech by the President that we heard the previous week. Mr. Speaker, I've taken time to read the speech. I listened through the speech on the day the President gave us his constitutional requirement on that particular day. And Mr. Speaker, it reminded me of the Holy Book, the Book of Proverbs 29:18, that Mr. Speaker says, where there is no vision, the people perish. In this speech, Mr. Speaker, the President indeed gave a vision to the people of Kenya. He started by saying that he had a story to tell. And the story began by highlighting the journey that we have begun as a country. It started by giving us the promises he made when he campaigned to be the president of this country. It went ahead to explain the things that have been done, the attempts that have been done, and Mr. Speaker gave us a number of statistics in form of what he called hard evidence of what achievements the government has achieved in the period that it has been in power. And I believe that is the beginning of what he called the direction that we would want to take this Kenya forward. Without that vision, Mr. Speaker, I believe I and you and the rest of the Kenyans who definitely had hopes of growth, development, improvement, and also taking Kenya to the next level have for the longest been looking forward to. It is given, Mr. Speaker, that it is not possible to say that whatever the President on that particular day spoke of has an element of clean, unchallenged issues that comes with it. It is one of the places where we all look at as a basis of improvement in terms of economy of the country and the sectors that the President spoke to. And Mr. Speaker, as a Kenyan, as a leader sitting in this house, it gave me a challenge, especially in the specific areas that he highlighted, where he has a vision as a leader and sought for the support, not only of those leaders who are in office, but the rest of the Kenyans, to make sure that that is achieved. And granted, Mr. Speaker, we always will have the naysayers. We always will have those who can pose challenges. But the idea behind the speech by the president was an inspiration. He gave us examples of the first world countries. He gave us examples of the Western tigers, where they were before, where they are now. I believe that history, that example that he picked of not one, not two, but many countries who were where we were almost at the same time as Kenya and where they are now. They have progressed. They have grown not because of anything but the vision that the leaders of those countries have carried and the support that they have achieved from reaching out to the rest of the residents of those countries for them to be where they are. And of course, when he said it can be done, it is possible that it can be done. It cannot be done by one person. It cannot be done by himself alone. It can be done by the rest of us as Kenyans and as leaders in this house. I think he posed to us a challenge, which challenge I believe most of us, those who have spoken to this speech, have said it. Some have said this was a speech which did not have programs specific to implementations, but I listened to it, I've looked at it, and I know it is a speech that inspires many to ask of ourselves, what is it that we can do at our level to support this vision, to support the programs that have been started, so that those who are ongoing are implemented in conclusion. Those who are yet to start can be started without necessarily getting obstacles that will derail the implementation, and ultimately it will derail the benefit that we are looking at as Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, to be very specific in a number of the areas that the President highlighted, it would be prudent of me to also pick them, because he told us that he's convinced that where we are is the beginning of most of the ideas that he had. Having said that, he has a story to tell. He also gave us a progress report on a number of issues. Mr. Speaker, among the areas that the President gave us highlights as areas where we have progressed is the inflation of this country, which was at 9.6% in the year 2022 when he got into office, until where we are now at 4.6. I believe that every Kenyan do appreciate the fact that we are not where we were in the time the President William Ruto and Kenya Kwanza government took office. This is an improvement that is supported and everyone acknowledges. At least, Mr. Speaker, we are speaking, if we are not even agreeing with this speech, we are speaking about an improvement. Whether it is 4.6 as is laid out in his speech or 9.6, the conversation is that the condition of this country in terms of inflation is not where we were 3 years ago. It might not be where he said, which I dare to say it is, because the statistics that he gave us, the statistics that we do have in form of the exchange rate of the dollar, for example, Mr. Speaker, was at the time of him taking over power 167. It was soaring. Right now, it has been stable for the last almost 1 year at 129. That, in my view, Mr. Speaker, is an improvement that we cannot ignore. The GDP of this country has grown. It continues to grow. And, Mr. Speaker, the President said, this is the report card that is asking Kenyans to support and ensure that whatever programs that is laid out needs the support, needs the implementation of the Kenyans to make sure that we improve and we sustain that improvement going forward. Mr. Speaker, the aspect on the agriculture, because he highlighted 3 specific things. He spoke about agriculture, spoke about education, spoke about the infrastructure. And Mr. Speaker, it is indeed true, and it's a fact, that implementation of the subsidy program on agriculture has improved the food production, it has improved cash payments to those farmers, whether in the coffee sector, sugar sector, it has largely grown from where it was to where it is now, courtesy of this program that was implemented by the government of President William Ruto. I come from a tea growing zone. The statistics he gave us in paragraph 49 of his speech spoke about an improvement of from 138 billion in the year 2022 to Kenya shillings 215 billion in the year 2024. This, Mr. Speaker, is, according to his speech, a 56% improvement in the tea sector. Part of the greatest challenge, and Mr. Speaker, I am aware last week you are hosting the committee in your county that is seeking to establish the discrepancy and the differences in terms of earnings to the farmers in the tea sector. The improvement the President is referring to in this paragraph does not, in some areas, reflect what the farmer down there is earning from the tea sector. And Mr. Speaker, I'm happy that as part of an improvement program and as part of an inquiry as to this distinction is what that committee is doing. And the people from Bomet, from Kericho, from your area that are not directly benefiting from these statistics, and of course I know they will say this is not true, is largely attributed to not only the growth that the President spoke about, but to the management style and the governance that we have had in those institutions that are managing the tea sector in the west of the Rift and the east of the Rift. Mr. Speaker, I believe that once that particular committee concludes on its investigation and inquiry, we shall be able to directly appreciate the fact that the 56% improvement that the Speaker, that the President referred to in his speech is in the larger this sector, but the silos of the specific regions that have got challenges, because it is not explainable why a farmer doing tea in the east of the Rift is getting a price of 57 plus Kenya shillings per kilogram, while the other one is getting even less than 50% of that. Mr. Speaker, I believe this will be one of those things that we are putting the team that is involved in that committee to give us an appropriate explanation as to why the discrepancy and why the difference in terms of an alleged improvement of 56% when the farmers are saying we are not directly benefiting from this particular sector. Mr. Speaker, the reforms that the President spoke about as regards what I said, the agriculture, has led to improvement on food security. It has definitely raised the income to the farmer, and I believe that as a consequence, we have improved on our export earnings, not only limited to the agriculture sector, but related areas, including industrialization, where if we were to go by the vision and get the support that it is asking for, Mr. Speaker, we will largely improve, and Kenyans will, out of this program, develop. Mr. Speaker, when he spoke about the development, the improvement, the governance in the health sector, he gave us statistics about the health promoters, gave us statistics about the beneficiaries who have directly benefited from the program of the government to pay those who are unable to pay for themselves at a premium being paid to Kenyans. 2.3 million vulnerable Kenyans benefited. Mr. Speaker, health is wealth. Where one member of a family is unhealthy, is sick, bedridden, the rest of the family members are deemed, in most cases, to be sick, not because they are directly or the issue would be that all are thinking what is going to happen next in terms of the hospital bills, in terms of the home care, in terms of every other obligation that comes to a relative, a member of a family, to take care of a sick brother, sister, mother, child, or parent. In this case, Mr. Speaker, the improvement that this has been done through the changes in the universal health introduction of SHA, which despite the bottlenecks and also the teething problems, it has transformed the health sector in a manner that I, as one of the people who in most of cases have experienced an improvement, because the reduction in the amount of the requisitions that we receive for purposes of support is going down by the day. This program has got its challenges. It is appreciated that going forward and over time, we will definitely improve. And the most important, and where I was very happy about, is the proposal that the government, as at beginning 1st of December 2025, will have an increase in SHA cancer benefits package from Kenya shillings 550,000 to Kenya shillings 800,000. If anything, Mr. Speaker, this is one area that I must say we should support to ensure that we improve and implement on this proposal. Bomet County, for example, is one area that we have got a rampant cases of cancer. Very many fundraisers that we are called upon every day, Mr. Speaker, is towards supporting families with patients who are undergoing chemotherapy sessions continuously. And therefore, this improvement and this enhancement will go a long way in supporting those families as well as those who are generally called upon to support in form of fundraisers. And this, Mr. Speaker, is one of those scorecards that the President said we are improving. We began by changing the law. It is one thing to appreciate the fact that the law has come into place. It is another thing to make sure that that law is implemented, and it goes a long way because there is goodwill, and this goodwill, if it spills over to the county governments where we are having a number of our health institutions, because health is a default function. Mr. Speaker, I know this will improve Kenyans, this will take Kenya to the next level, and I want to applaud the President for taking the next step in ensuring that despite the challenges that we have enrolled over 27 million Kenyans in this SHA program, and out of this
Senator Wakili, you are not observant on your timing. Let me give him 30 seconds to put a full stop.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to say this is one of the speeches that the President, by conclusion, asked Kenyans to support the vision that he is carrying for the people of Kenya so that Kenya can go to the next level. And I want to say it is in this presidency that it can be done, it is possible, it requires of us to do the role and the mandates that we are given as members of this House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next is Senator Okoiti Andrew Omtata.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to comment on this very important governance tool that is created in the Constitution of Kenya 2010. The tool is the annual address to the nation by the President, the joint sitting of the Houses by the President. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the address for this year, President Ruto paints a very visionary picture of Kenya's transformation through massive investments in irrigation, transport, and innovative financing mechanisms. Gerson quotes great leaders, and he frames this as non-negotiable steps towards food security, industrial growth, and economic empowerment, or economic independence. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, the rhetoric glosses over a troubling pattern over promising on infrastructure while under-delivering amid corruption scandals, fiscal recklessness, and deepening inequality. With Kenya's public debt exceeding 11 trillion, with a huge component of which is odious, cannot be traced or tied to any project, youth unemployment reaching levels that could not even be imagined, above 35%. The priorities the President presents will make the situation worse and not resolve them. And so, Mr. Speaker, the vivid picture of mega dams, boundless energy, gleaning infrastructure, must not blind us. The grandeur of vision must subject itself to critical blueprint. Where is the blueprint to achieving what the President promises? Having listened to His Excellency, having read his speech, I have been struggling to see the blueprint. There is no blueprint in that speech. The speech is largely a case of wishful thinking. It ignores the present. It does not address the socioeconomic and environmental costs. And then the mirage of financing. A debt trap by another name is being given to us as a promise of a bright future. They look at privatization as the panacea. Has no basis. Privatization, we have had privatization in this country. I come from Western Kenya. We had Mumias Sugar Company, thriving, a blue chip company, fully owned by the Kenyan state, privately managed by Bukatet. Then what happened? We were told to privatize. Mumias Sugar Company was privatized. Go to Mumias today, see what is there. The company was ripped apart. We must distinguish between ownership and management. Is the problem management or is the problem ownership by the state? You have been told that KPC is going to be privatized and is in the process of being privatized. And that when they privatized Kenya Pipeline Company, more Kenyans will have an opportunity to own it. Arrant nonsense. I thought that right now, all Kenyans own KPC. When it's owned by the ministry, by the state, it's owned by every Kenyan. Where does the narrative come out that KPC, when being privatized, will now result in more Kenyans owning it? Unless we're talking about privileged and well-connected Kenyans capturing it, state capture, capturing those assets. So, I think His Excellency should have done better and given us a blueprint on exactly how he achieves what. The other thing is a debate we must address between the primacy of political action versus the determinism of the market. His Excellency cannot present the determinism of the market as a solution to a developing economy like ours. Primary action must be political action. And political action must be fashioned around the laws of the country. I didn't hear the president address the question of odious debt and how he's going to deal with it and how he's going to recover the monies that have been stolen from the public and are stashed out. Well, I didn't expect him to address odious debt because just in the recent past, through something called Nyota or whatever, an arrangement between himself and the World Bank has added 13 billion shillings to debt that has been acquired outside the constitutional procedure for incurring debt. He's bribing the population with handouts. No formula, no blueprint, no marking scheme, no way of monitoring and evaluating what is going on. Total chaos. Chaos cannot be the crucible from which you can fashion development. If we want to develop, we must imitate the developed. We must look at the critical sectors of the economy. We must look at governance. What are we spending money on? We have one of the largest governments since independence, bloated, obese, unhealthy. Too many principal secretaries, duplicious, doing nothing. When you look at the statement of actual revenue and net expenditure issues that is released by the Treasury every 21 days after the end of every month, you see a litany of abuse of our public finances that tells you there's no intention to develop this country. On the floor of this House, I've raised a statement about 19.6 billion shillings, which was spirited out or siphoned out of the consolidated fund using a vote head for consolidated finance services. Mr. Speaker, it's a very sad day for me. It was a very sad day for me sitting and listening to that speech. Look at a concept like the various funds that are being talked about, the Weather Fund, the Women Fund, whatever fund, and you. You look at Article 206 of the Constitution, it tells you how to establish a fund. It must be established by an act of parliament. Where is the act of parliament establishing the Weather Fund or the Women's Fund or whatever, all these funds we have? Secondly, when these funds are set up, they cannot take money from the consolidated fund. Funds must be financed by money excluded from the consolidated fund. So we celebrate and we believe that we shall break the law to achieve progress. There is no choice between the law and development in this country. There's no choice. If we want to develop, we must follow the law. If we don't want to develop, then we break the law. There's no choice. The law and development are not mutually exclusive. The law and development are two legs upon which this nation must walk. assuming the nation is a human being, if or 4 legs, if it's a 4-legged animal. So, His Excellency's speech to me was simply a public relations exercise. It was simply for him to demonstrate his skills at public speaking. He speaks very well in the public, and he did well. But it was devoid of substance, devoid of a blueprint, devoid of a marking scheme. And it ignores the real economy. It talks nothing about the crisis in education and health. It praises SHA. Yes, SHA is a premium funded, you pay premiums to belong to SHA without discussing its pros and its words and all image. You have to pay a premium to access SHA. On the other hand, it's masquerading as universal health care, Mr. Speaker, across the world, beginning with the United Kingdom and most of Europe. And even this country where when you and me were kids, there was universal health care. Those days when you could get aspirin tablets branded GOK, and you walked in any clinic and you'd be treated and you go home. Universal health care can only be funded by direct taxes. Just like a road built by taxes and anybody can walk on it. Once you introduce premiums, it ceases being universal. It's only available to those who can pay. And so, continuing to fool Kenyans that we have got universal health care in this country is not acceptable. When you go to education, Article 53 of the Constitution is very clear. Every child is entitled to free and compulsory basic education. A child is anybody under 18. His Excellency runs a government that gives us fee structures. What's the fee structure for primary schools, for secondary schools? You see our kids on the roads every day being sent home. Who is imposing these fees? Is it constitutional? His Excellency
Senator Catherine Muma.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for an opportunity to comment on the State of the Nation address by His Excellency Honorable William Samoei Ruto. First, to thank Kenyans for creating the tool of the State of the Nation address, because this is an accountability tool that provides for an opportunity for the head of state to address Kenyans, not just Parliament, address Kenyans through the House in which they are represented, and inform Kenyans on what he has done and where he is going. So I'd like to congratulate him for sticking to this mandate and following it. And I have read through the address, and I would want to congratulate the head of state and his government for the accomplishments that they have had, for the projects they have so delivered, and would hope that they will relook where they have not done well in order to move forward. As an accountability tool, the President spoke to the various projects that he has done in the different sectors, and I would urge all Kenyans, the best way to determine whether these projects are there or not is to just check. If there is a road that has been claimed to have been done in County X or in place X, I believe it is a physical feature that can actually be identified. So I would ask and I would urge Kenyans and their representatives as ourselves to be able to cross-check what is in this statement and what is actually on the ground. Now, there is a number of policy decisions that the President spoke to, and I would want to speak to a few of them, noting the kind of time we have. The President spoke about what he is doing or how he is guiding the nation to deliver on healthcare and on universal healthcare. As a matter of fact, I would want to say that the Azimio team and the Kenya Kwanza teams both promised Kenyans that if they come to government, they will deliver universal healthcare. Honorable Speaker, the right to health as provided in Article 43 of the Constitution is perhaps one of the most important rights, in the sense that a human being who does not have health care is unlikely to be able to enjoy the other rights. So the promise of universal health care is a promise that every country must plan to have. And I think every manifesto in this country promised universal health care. Honorable Speaker, this government moved us from the NHIF to the SHA arrangement in terms of the financing of healthcare in the country, and the number of registered members in SHA now are more than triple the number that was there in NHIF. And the President spoke to this issue, and we would want to congratulate the government that we have more people signed to the SHA, but what I did not hear the President speak about is the challenges that have emerged as SHA is being implemented. I would want the President to keenly listen to the complaints that are being raised by on the implementation of SHA in the different locations, and to be able to get his team to come together and find out how can we correct whatever looks bad. Honorable Speaker, sometimes when we speak as politicians, we make it look as if NHIF was operating well. I think if you look at the audit reports around NHIF, we had a lot of issues in NHIF. I would want the President to be able to filter the key issues that were negative about NHIF, to also listen to what is being said about SHA that is not working, and to get his team to respond to that. That way, the ambitious program to get every household covered in healthcare then will be achieved. Honorable Speaker, we must not kid ourselves. For us to be able to handhold each household on healthcare will require exponential amounts of monies. And whether we get them from taxes or whatever innovation we come up with, the people of Kenya will collectively bear that burden. So it is an issue that I would urge all of us to innovatively look at, and I would urge government to also listen so that we are able to move on this issue. Honorable Speaker, the other issue that the President spoke about was education. The President, this government has done well in employing more teachers. We still need more teachers to be employed. We have students receiving capitation. But, Honorable Speaker, I think the bulk of our students, particularly after the O-levels, are not able to find their way into tertiary institutions to get the skills that we need for enterprise. My take would be that the head of state should again find out which is this innovative way in which we can invest better for education to truly be an equitable asset for every Kenyan. Honorable Speaker, in his 4 points, the head of state talked about establishing a state department that will deal with matters, science, and research. I would want to congratulate the president for this, for the reason that the world is now being driven by technology, digital technology in particular, and science is what we require right now to operationalize the industrial parks that we've been speaking about. Honorable Speaker, it is good to note that this government has seen the large gap or the huge gap of previous governments not investing enough in our universities, not investing enough in science, not investing enough in technology. And I would hope that that promise, which is the first among his 4 points, next steps, will be taken seriously. Honorable Speaker, I represent the Senate in the IPU, and I serve on the Science and Technology Committee, and one of the things that I imagine is that as the world develops digitally and technologically, it is also creating the biggest gap in terms of inequity among the poor nations, the poor persons, and those who have it. This is also happening in Kenya. Honorable Speaker, we have learners in universities from poor families who are not able to learn at par in an age where university has made virtual learning to be the bulk of the methodology of learning. We have students who have very basic phones, and they are typing on those phones. They are latching around areas with bundles in order to be able to participate. While their colleagues who come from able families have top of the state-of-the-art laptops and are actually having their studies better enabled. So I would urge that the president, to back up his number 1 next step, must invest in the public digital infrastructure. I would want to hear the way he's speaking about the physical infrastructure in terms of roads. I would want to see the public digital infrastructure enabled in all places, in the markets, in the rural areas, so that the children of the poor can equally participate in the digital economy, can equally participate in the digital learning, and be able to get skills to participate in the future of this country. Honorable Speaker, we want to grow agriculture to bring value addition. That value addition cannot happen unless we have science and technology around the tools we need to use for our small-scale farmers to be able to participate in what we are talking about. I see the yellow light, and I would want to move to something that I felt the president could have commented on, and he did not. Honorable Speaker, as the Senate, as a senator, I would have wanted to see the president's pronouncement on how we will improve the intergovernmental relations between the national government and the county government in order to better deliver services. I would have also wanted to see how we can have better multi-sectoral cooperation among the different sectors in order to deliver services better. I would want to urge the president, if he were to be listening, that it is better for this country when they go to cabinet not to have departments that are acting in silos. We would want to have departments that are supporting each other in order for the resource that we have to actually be stretched enough to deliver on all that we need to deliver. I would also want to urge on the point of science and technology that the Senate and the National Assembly actually set up science and technology committees to be able to oversight the department that is coming up on science and technology, because that is going to be the key driver of where we are going next. And as you can see, it is the number one next step for the president. So I'm urging that we all consider this, looking at that, readjust ourselves, because we are that monitoring and evaluation mechanism. We are that oversight mechanism that should be assisting to see whether we can hold the president accountable to what he has said. So I'm urging that we as Parliament also readjust, organize ourselves in order to create the relevant committees that will be able to deliver on this issue. As I finalize, speaking about interconnectivity, I would want to see better interconnectivity or interrelations between the agriculture and the health sector. Honorable Speaker, without going far, I would want the President to take keener interest in the dumping by Europe of poisons that are being used in the agriculture sector in this country and that are making our produce not to be competitive out there, but as well as actually harming the health of our people. I would want to see him be champion an operational scheme, a regulatory scheme, noting that national government is the one in charge of regulations to ensure that we put in place standards that are not poisoning our people, harming our health, but also making us not to be competitive in terms of our produce that we are exporting to other countries. So even as I speak to this, I would want to see the president picking these issues that are actually harming us and encouraging the kind of regulation that will enable us to be able to work on this. Finally, I was disappointed. I would have wanted to listen or to hear the president speak broadly about the issue of security, particularly excesses within the police. It would have helped, and I make reference to the 10-point that we have, 10-point agenda that we have as ODM with the Kenya Kwanza government. We are keen, being a rights-based party, we are keen on ensuring that we get justice for those who have been harmed where excessive force was used. It would have been kind for the president to speak to the issue of security in this country, to assure the people of Kenya, particularly the youth of Kenya, that as we move forward, we are creating the necessary discipline within our forces to ensure that, one, we exercise our democracy in a manner that befits the constitution of our country, but at the same time that we are training our officers to actually just do their job without the excesses. So as I finalize, I look forward to a greater oversight mechanism, which I believe starts with this House. It is not an oversight that is established by the president, but it's an oversight that must be established by this House to be able next year to hold the head of state accountable to say, you said you would do this, did you?
Very well, next is Senator Mudiki Alexander Munyi.
Okay, asante Bwana Spika kwa kunipa nafasi niweze kuchangia mjadala unayoendelea kuhusu statement ambaye rais alisoma siku ya Alhamisi. Ni kushukuru sana kwa sababu ya serikali ya Kenya Kwanza ya William Ruto na pia serikali ya muungano na ile kazi amefanya kwa kipindi ya miaka 3. Kwa sababu yeye naweza kusema ni shujaa, kwa sababu isipokuwa ni Mwenyezi Mungu atungekuwa tumefika pahali tuko, kwa sababu alijaribu sana wakati tulichagua na kulitokea vita ya hapa na pale, lakini baadaye akakumbali pia watu wa opposition kama ODM yaweze kuingia kwa serikali, na hata kama watu wengine walikasirika, saa hii bahali tuko tunaendelea vizuri sana, kwa sababu ni serikali ya muungano ya William Ruto na pia mawaziri na pia makamu wake Profesa Abraham Kidiki Dure. Mambo mengi kutoka kwa hii kipindi ya miaka 2 tumeona tukiendelea vizuri. Kwa hivyo ni pongezi kwa rais wa Kenya kwa kukubali kufanya na kila mmoja na kufanya na kaunti zote 47 na pia magavana wote. Kwa sababu ingekuwa ni watu wengine hatungekuwa tumefika pahali tuko, kwa sababu angekubali watu wa opposition wakuje kwa serikali. Kwa hivyo mimi naunga mkono kwa ile kazi anaendelea kufanya. Na pia mimi nakosoa wale watu wanapinga hii serikali kwa sababu ya budget. Budget mpaka ingekuwa kubwa sana, Bwana Spika, kwa sababu anafanya na kaunti zote, afanyi na wale watu walimchagua, wale wa kumchagua na walimchagua anafanya pamoja. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, naunga hii mjadala mkono. Bwana Spika, yale aligusia ni mambo ya agriculture, na mambo ya agriculture katika kwa hii kipindi inaendelea vizuri, na ninaongea kuhusu agriculture kwa sababu Bwana Spika, ni mimi mwenyekiti mdogo wa kiti ya mambo ya agriculture. Mambo ya agriculture Bwana Spika, kwa kipindi ya miaka 3 wakati hii serikali iliingia kwa uongozi, mambo ya kahawa, manjani, makandamia, masiwa na vitu zingine ilikuwa bei ya juu. Na pia tunajua mambo ya agriculture iko kibaumbele kwa hii serikali, kwa sababu kila mtu ule ameenda nyumbani na ule anjaenda, ule anafanya kazi na ule afanyi. Saa hii mambo yote imerudi mambo ya agriculture. Na saa hii kama kahawa ilikuwa pesa kidogo, na saa hii kilo moja inatoka shilingi 150. Mambo ya manjani ilikuwa 40, saa hii inatoka 70. Mambo ya maziwa ilikuwa 35, saa hii Bwana Spika inatoka 45, na tunataka iendelee mpaka ifike shilingi 50. Bwana Spika aliongea mambo mengi sana mazuri ya agriculture, kwa sababu Bwana Spika kitu inaitwa kama ni fertilizer ilikuwa shilingi 7,000, na akangangana Bwana Spika saa hii subsidized fertilizer inafikia mwananchi masinani ikiwa natoka 2,000 na 2,500. Na pia mahindi na vile vitu ya kupanda pia tumeona ikienda masinani. Kwa hivyo mambo ya agriculture inafanya vizuri. Yale akugusia Bwana Spika ni mambo ya mirasu kumugoka, na tunaomba pia wakati ule mwingine anjaribu kusaidia pia wale watu wanalima mirasu kumugoka, ndio iwe variation kama sile vitu zingine, na pia kutafutia watu wale wanalima mirasu kumugoka soko uko nje kama vile manjani, kahawa na kila kitu inafanya kuhusu agriculture. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, mambo ya agriculture amejaribu sana, na mambo mengine amejaribu. Bwana Spika, mambo mengine aligusia ni kuhusu afya. Kutoka mambo ya afya alisema mambo ya saa, na saa imesaidia watu wengi sana. Wale watu wote tumeona Bwana Spika, mambo ya saa, tunajua vijana wetu wale wanaendesha mbonda wakigongwa na gari. Bwana Spika, wakati wa zamani walikuwa wanachangiwa pesa, wale wachangiwi pesa wanaumia miguu, wamevunjwa, lakini pandaye wanakufa tu. Lakini siku hizi vijana wetu wale wanaendesha mbonda, ama accident yoyote, mtu akivunjika mguu ama kivua ama mgongo ama wapi, akienda hospitali kama amekuwa Legislators, Bwana Spika anahudumiwa vizuri na anarudi nyumbani vizuri. Na tumeona mambo ya saa imesaidia, kwa sababu wale watu wengi Bwana Spika wao katika hii bunge, mara mingi tulikuwa changa tunaenda kwa harambee, pesa yetu haikuwa inatosha, lakini siku ya leo mambo ya harambee kwa heshimiwa imepungua kidogo. Kwa hivyo mambo ya afya anajaribu kurekebisha. Bwana Spika, mambo mengine aligusia ni mambo ya parapara. Mambo ya parapara katika kaunti 47 hakuna saa hii parapara ile kidogo ambaye sinaenda masinani, nyingi zimeenda kuwekwa lami kwa sababu alisema atafanya na kaunti zote 47. Bwana Spika, mambo ya dual carriage, ingekuwa ni marais wengine wangekuwa na mambo ya kuganya kaunti na wale wengine. Na Bwana Spika, wakati aliongea mambo ya dual carriage, moja wale watafaidika na dual carriage ni watu wa Mount Kenya, aswa Embu County, Tharaka Nithi County na Meru, kwa sababu dual carriage imetoka Nairobi mpaka Makutano inaenda Nyeri, na hapo alisema ataongezea, lakini dual carriage nyingine Bwana Spika itatoka Makutano iende Embu, iende Tharaka Nithi na pia iende Meru na ipite huko mbele. Kwa hiyo mambo ya parapara kidogo zimewekwa rami. Na pia nagundua niko na hapa ya kwamba kama kaunti ya Embu ni sile imevaindika na ile parapara kidogo ya rami, na najua kama anafanya kaunti sote mambo ya parapara ya rami, hata kaunti zingine imebenefit. Kwa hiyo nataka kusema mambo ya parapara yangu ni kusema aendelea kufanya hiyo kazi, na vile amesema itangazwe na iwekwe kwa gazeti, ndio kama sasa hiyo parapara ya Embu kutoka Makutano kwenda Embu kwenda Tharaka Nithi na kwenda Meru iweze ya kusaidia sisi. Pia Bwana Spika, na munga mkono kwa sababu kuna nderanza ambaye ya Tharaka Nithi ambaye imeua watu wengi sana, na ninajua hata kama siku wako siku aligusia, ningeomba hata kama hiyo itasaidia watu wa Meru na wa Embu na wale wengine, kwa sababu imeua watu wengi. Bwana Spika, naunga mkono kwa sababu aliongea mambo ya nyumba, na mambo ya nyumba saa hii kila county nyingi iko na industrial park, na pia kama ya Embu iko na 85%. Mambo ya housing, county nyingi manyumba endelea kujengwa. Wale watu mama mboga, wale watu wana pesa, wale walikuwa na shinda kuwatoa kwa silabu na kuwapatia manyumba. Pia hiyo kazi amejaribu kuangana kusaidia, ndio kuonekane matajiri bereni walikuwa wanajipiga kifua, lakini saa hii hata nyumba ya pesa kidogo, vijana wetu mama mboga na wale watu wengine hata wenyewe wajivunie kulala kwa manyumba ya mawe na manyumba ya ngoroba kama wale watu wengine. Kwa sababu watu wengine wasikia umbaya, kwa sababu najua miaka ikiendelea tukienda kumalizia kila mtu atakuwa na nyumba, na wale watu mateberi wale wako na manyumba ya kondesha ndio sasa wako na shinda, kwa sababu walikuwa wanajua watakuwa wakinyanyasha watu. Bwana Spika, mambo ya elimu pia aligusia. Bwana Spika, mambo ya elimu hakujawahi kuonekana kwa hiyo kipindi ya miaka ingine mtu ameajiri walimu kama wale wameajiriwa na serikali ya William Ruto. Wakati ameingia kwa kipindi ya miaka 3, Bwana Spika, ameajiri walimu 70,000, kitu ya maajabu. Na pia saa hii ametangaza ataajiri walimu wengine 20,000. Na pia mambo ya TVET, kila county iko na TVET, walimu wengi sana wa TVET wameajiriwa. Kwa hiyo mambo ya elimu amejaribu kuinua, hata kama kuna changamoto kidogo ama kuna shinda ya pesa ya kupeleka kwa shule, watoto wetu wako na shinda, iende ikawa ni hapo arainishe vizuri. Bwana Spika, aongee na Treasury, ndio Treasury iwe ikituma pesa ya kusaidia wanafunzi mapema kuliko kusherehesha. Bwana Spika, mambo mengine aligusia ni mambo ya pia ya dams. Mambo ya dams, county nyingi mebenefit. Kama najua Kitui kuna damu inajengwa, na pia katika Embu County kuna damu, tuko na damu 3. Lakini Bwana Spika, mambo ya maji kuna damu ya those ambayo itavaindisha watu wa Runyenjes na watu wa Mbere South pale kuna by election, tuweze kuona kilimo yetu itaendelea vizuri, kwa sababu kilimo ya huko inaendelea vizuri, lakini unakuta mambo kama hakuna maji kilimo yaendelee vizuri. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, mimi naunga mkono. Kwa hiyo ningemuomba ile damu uweze kufanya kujengwa haraka uwezekanavyo, ndio ile kilimo yetu ya mirasi tukumukaa ukute inaendelea vizuri. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, mimi nasema serikali hii ya William Ruto inaendelea kufanya kazi vizuri, na serikali ya broad based yangu ni kusema Bwana Spika, kuna watu wapinga hii maneno, na watu nataka niwaambie hata Rome haikujengwa na siku moja. Ni tumpe nafasi kwa hii kipindi imebakia ya miaka 2 tuweze kuona atafanya kazi namna gani, na pia tuombe Mungu hiyo miaka 2 ikiisha pia tuwape fast na makamu wake Profesa Abraham Kithure, tuone kama tutaongezea miaka ingine 5 ndio tuweze kuona mambo ya maendeleo inaenda namna gani. Pia Bwana Spika, aligusia mambo ya kazi. Hata kama aliajiri walimu, kuna mambo anaendelea kutengeneza mambo ya kazi manjuu, ingawa iko na changamoto, kuna shinda hapa na pale. Mambo ya kazi kule majuu imeleta shinda kidogo, lakini tunaomba serikali iweze kulainisha vizuri, kwa sababu vijana wetu wale wana kazi hapa, watu wengi wampata kazi kule. Mambo tu ni waziri walipa aweze kuangalia na ambassador vile mambo itatainisha, ndio vijana wetu na wasichana wetu wasiwe wakumia mambo ya kazi majuu. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, mimi nikiwa senator wa Embu County naunga mkono hii serikali ya muungano, na pia ile kazi inafanya serikali ya William Ruto na makamu wake Profesa Abraham Kithure, na pia na mawaziri na mambo ya accountability. Shinda tu ni kuomba tu wale watu wamesembea kazini watimuliwe, ndio vijana wetu waweze kupata kazi. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, nikiwa senator wa Embu County Alexander Mudigi daktari, mimi naunga mkono mambo ya hii mjadala. Asante sana Bwana Spika.
Asante Daktari Mudigi. Sasa tunaenda kwa Senator Consolata Nabwire.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity to contribute towards the State of the Union Address, otherwise known as State of the Nation Address by His Excellency, President Dr. William Samoei Ruto on 20th of November 2025. I want to back what most of the senators have presented in lauding the policy decisions that are value-loaded as presented by His Excellency. And I have tried to summarize them, and I realize they are pegged on social amenities, all revolving around health, education, infrastructure, irrigation, food security, and technology. I'm encouraged by the deliberate measures the government has taken to secure equity, social justice, and dignity for all. I come from a county that has various categories of citizens, where we have women, we have youths, we have the elderly, people living with disabilities, which are normally encompassed in a bracket known as the vulnerable groups. And these groups keenly listened to the presidential address, and over the weekend when I went home, I think for the first time I received some positive comments from the address by the president, despite a few whispers of maybe due to uncompleted projects or some that are underway. But 3/4 of the comments were positive, and I want to laud that. I want to affirm the support for the transformational agenda that encompasses the transformative projects that the president highlighted in his address. And I want to break them down into the following elements. One, about protection and empowerment of the vulnerable groups. I want to welcome the clear government commitment to vulnerable Kenyans under the Social Health Authority, that is the famous SHA. Now we have 27 million members registered under SHA, more than triple the number of the previous NHIF. So that is a plus. And maybe what we would like to encourage is to have an enhanced cancer coverage, diabetes screening, hypertension screening, and other communicable and non-communicable diseases to be encompassed in that. The presidential directive that 2.3 million vulnerable Kenyans, including widows, have their health insurance paid by the state. So what most of the senators have presented is that still there are some whispers about SHA. So maybe the relevant authorities, we cannot keep directing everything to the president. He has delegated some of these duties to the cabinet secretaries, the PSS, and all those other members that represent various ministries and departments. So it is a clarion call that the members they roll up their sleeves in overseeing the work in their departments. I want to add that we call for prioritized registration, follow-up and monitoring to ensure vulnerable groups, especially the widows, the youths, people with disabilities, from rural communities benefit fully from these initiatives. We also want to advocate for targeted economic programs for widows, including access to Hustler Fund, credit repair, and MSE support. Widows, women, and other vulnerable groups normally have a challenge. Therefore, in this address, we want to point out that there is need to advocate for to encourage the rollout of legal support structures for widows, especially who are facing land disputes, inheritance issues, or economic exclusion. And as a leader, I also advocate the same for the widowers, because we have widows and widowers. Although from the community where I come from, widows outweigh the widowers. But still, we have to support them because there are some who are very vulnerable. Looking at healthcare, this is a lifeline for the vulnerable-headed households. So I want to applaud the nationwide deployment of 107 community health promoters who happen to be the primary healthcare workforce in history because they are trained and they are equipped. Healthcare is the foundation of human dignity under SDG number 3 and under our constitution. That is from Article 43 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, Clause 1A up to F, number 2 and 3. It highlights the economic and social rights. So when we look at health, we normally say that health is wealth, and a healthy nation rather, or a healthy populace, boosts production, and therefore that enhances our economic status. I want to comment on food security and agriculture, where the president gave a raft of revitalized value chains. Remember when he came in office, people were scampering around with sufurias on their heads. I come from a community that embraces food in all aspects, not just for eating, but also as an income-generating activity, since we grow a lot of agricultural products, like we have sugarcane, we have coffee, we have tea, we have maize, and maize is our staple food in Bungoma County. So I want to thank that. However, I want to encourage that the relevant department enhances integrated digital platform to register farmers, to have a Kenya Agricultural Management Information System that will have a complete data of all the farmers and categories of farmers vis-a-vis the crops that they plant. So agriculture is the backbone of our economy in Kenya, and therefore I want to laud the president for having a keener eye on it. I also want to comment about affordable housing and markets. I come from a community that embraces good housing and even entrepreneurship. They are very much into business, and we have to support the 230 affordable houses and 276 new markets that will provide dignity, safety, and income for women in Bungoma County, especially the widows and other entrepreneurs. We have several market stalls in Chwele, in Chepkube, in Kandui, in Mount Elgon, in Kamkuywa, in Webuye, in Tongaren, and in Bumula. So we want to emphasize housing and market infrastructure as tools for real social protection. Then we have MSMEs, Hustler Fund, and Youth Opportunities, where we saw the president the other week launching the Nyota program or initiative in Mumias. So 80 billion has been dispersed through the Hustler Fund, with millions removed from CRB lists. Most of them had been blacklisted, but the president has made an effort to ensure that they are removed from the CRB lists in order to enable them to access credit facilities and boost their businesses. In line to this, I want to encourage the creation of a widows economic empowerment window within the Hustler Fund. Sorry, am I out of time? Not yet. Thank you. And I also want to comment about education. Having been a teacher, I really embrace the value of education in all aspects. We laud the president for whatever efforts he's put in place to boost education, despite the whispers that the funding model has hitches. And I'm so sure our president is keen on it, and he'll have to remind the relevant department, or rather ministry, to look at where the hiccups are and to improve on it. That relieves the pressure on single mothers, widows, and all those vulnerable groups that have got school-going children or that have the tertiary, college, or university students. I want also to support the massive teacher recruitment and student-centered funding model and encourage that the teachers' welfare is improved right from ECDE to up the other levels of education. Otherwise, it is a good move. About water, dams, irrigation, and all that, I think this one is a backbone for rural women, and it boosts their agricultural production, and it also even enhances our environment as we are looking at the environmental tree cover, environmental protection, and conservation. Lastly, let me not forget about digital transformation. We are in a techno-savvy space, and I want to applaud the expansion of fiber networks, digital hubs, and e-citizen services, which have gone to an extent of benefiting even the rural businesswoman by lowering the compliance costs. However, there's need to have capacity building for them, since most of them are not AI compliant. So there's need to have capacity building and awareness programs to enable them advance to this level. Relevancy to Bungoma County. Bungoma farmers have benefited from subsidized fertilizer, improved maize harvest, and dairy sector reforms. The expanded TVET training and digital hubs directly support the county's youth, including orphans and children raised by widows. Bungoma's MSP and cross-border traders, especially widows and women in markets like Chwele, Webuye, Sirisia, Kimilili, Tongarin, Kandui, Kamkuya, Kapsokon, stand to gain significantly from modern markets and hustler funds. So as I wrap up my presentation, I want to say that as we implement these milestones, we give special priority to mapping, registering, and supporting women, especially widows, youths, people with disabilities, the elderly, so that they fully benefit from these historic reforms. I support. Thank you.
Next is Senator Kisang William.
Good. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also want to make comments on the President's State of the Nation address that we had last week, Honorable Speaker, in the National Assembly for both houses. Honorable Speaker, it is good to note that for the last 3 years, when Kenya Kwanza government came in and the President took over as the 5th President of the Republic of Kenya, the state of the economy, Honorable Speaker, was very bad. It was in deplorable state. In fact, if you remember very well, during campaign, we had shortages of fuel. In fact, it was by the grace of God that we were able to get petrol or diesel to do campaigns during that particular time, Honorable Speaker, because there was shortage of fuel across the country. Not because we were unable to import fuel, Honorable Speaker, it is because the country was shortage of dollars. There were no dollars in the country. Central bank had run out of dollars. The exchange rate, the dollar to the shilling, was skyrocketing up to the level of $1 to 165 shillings, Honorable Speaker. So it was impossible for the petroleum sector to import because, one, there were no dollars. Number two, it was very difficult. I think there was shortage of fuel also in the international market, Honorable Speaker. But currently, as when we report 3 years later, Honorable Speaker, the Kenya Kwanza government, as the President reported last week, Honorable Speaker, they were able to enter into G2G, government to G with Saudi, to stabilize the market, where Kenya is given a period of 108 days to pay for supply of fuel, and that will stabilize the market. And for 3 years now, Honorable Speaker, we have not had any shortage of fuel in the country, and the shilling has stabilized from, Honorable Speaker, the rate of 165 to now a rate of 129 to the dollar, and it has stabilized there for the last over 8 years, and we believe it will be coming down maybe to around 120, 125. Honorable Speaker, this is a sign of a stable economy, Honorable Speaker. When Kenya Kwanza government took over 2022 September 3 years ago, Honorable Speaker, the inflation rate was 9%. Currently, we are at 4.6, Honorable Speaker. This is a sign of an economy that is growing, an economy that has stabilized, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, 3 years ago, as it's reported by also Central Bank and Treasury, and the President gave us the report, Honorable Speaker, our GDP at that time stood at $115 billion, Honorable Speaker. As of today, Honorable Speaker, we are at $136 billion dollars, Honorable Speaker. I don't know why people are complaining that the economy is not doing well, that we are not getting a proper report, Honorable Speaker, but the naysayers, they have to say something. But you have seen, Honorable Speaker, for the last over 1 year, Honorable Speaker, you've not seen people in the streets putting the suburias in their heads, as it's been reported. 2022 was very difficult. Early 2023, people were talking about food. The cost of food was very high. Now the cost of food, a kilo of unga, Honorable Speaker, has come down as low as 100. And by the time Kenya Kwanza took over, Honorable Speaker, it was over 300 shillings by a packet of unga, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you know, basically my best subject also is ICT. When the Kenya Kwanza government took over, the number of kilometers of fiber optic in the country was less than 70,000. Now we have surpassed over 100,000 kilometers of fiber optic across the country. You go to the main highways, the one towards your county, Isholo, all the way to Moyale. There is already fiber that has been laid all the way to Moyale. And basically what the Minister of ICT needs to do is to do just the last mile of fiber connectivity to all our sub-county facilities, both sub-county headquarters, sub-county district hospitals, sub-county, even up to health centers, Honorable Speaker, because we need all the facilities to be fiber ready, so that they can use internet, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, one of the issues that also this particular government and the State of the Nation addresses, Honorable Speaker, is what is being rolled out. All the 1,450 wards across the country are having what we call digital apps. These digital apps, Honorable Speaker, will assist our youth to get digital skills. Number two, Honorable Speaker, is to get online jobs. And these online jobs, you don't even have to sleep. In fact, most of the countries, say the US, Honorable Speaker, when it is daytime here, it's night there. When it is night here, it's daytime there. So our youth, what they need to do is just to approach, go to near the digital hubs in the wards and look for online jobs and do online jobs at night. And Honorable Speaker, they do research. There are many youths that are now getting being paid in dollars because of these digital jobs that they are getting under Jitume or Ajira program, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, what we are only asking our counterpart in National Assembly, because they have the national government CDF funds, is to ensure all these digital apps are completed, because Ministry of ICT is equipping them with free internet. And Ministry of Energy, where I'm the Vice Chair of Energy Committee in Senate, Honorable Speaker, is providing them with power so that we move as a country to a 24-hour economy, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also want to touch on education. Honorable Speaker, for a long time, our teachers, especially the primary teachers, there are those who completed the education 2014, 2013, 2012, 2015, and most of them are being at home unemployed. In fact, some of them recently, Honorable Speaker, even if you go to your county, there are those who are complaining. They are about to retire before they are hired. They are turning 45, 44, 46 before they are employed, Honorable Speaker. We want to thank the President because in 3 years, He has employed a record of 76,000 teachers. And this financial year, Honorable Speaker, they're also employing another 24. And there was an advert yesterday in the papers where they're recruiting P1 teachers over 9,000. And I believe this 9,000, Honorable Speaker, we want to ask TSC to give priority to those teachers who are above 40. Even if they graduated recently, they need to be given priority so that, Honorable Speaker, they don't retire before being employed, Honorable Speaker, as an affirmative action so that we get rid of those who are of age and then those who graduated earlier but they are below 30, they still have an opportunity, Honorable Speaker, when opportunity for replacement comes on, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we have an issue also with, I know there are challenges and people have made noise about the new model of funding in the universities. What the Minister of Education needs to do, and the universities and the students, they need to form a team and harmonize and iron any differences, because we are told this is a very good model. There are those who are praising it, there are those who are critiquing. So it means basically it must be maybe some misunderstanding that they need to iron out, Honorable Speaker. And the CS in charge of Minister of Education, especially the higher education, Honorable Speaker, we have had so many strikes. I remember during our days, there was no strike. In fact, the only strike that we used to do those days is when we missed the dialogue. You know, people didn't know what the dialogue is that time. You know, Chabati was called dialogue those days. But these days, the number of strikes that are there because of non-payment of salaries or not honoring the CBS that the university dons have discussed with the ministry, they need to come out of this thing. It is embarrassing, it is exposing the country, and people are looking for education elsewhere, either in private universities or out of the country, and we are losing resources, and Kenya is known for quality education. They need to sort out this problem of strikes in the universities, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, what also excited me was infrastructure, especially roads, Honorable Speaker. I want to report to you, Honorable Speaker, last year I was going home for Christmas, and I went on to 22nd. I left at 5:30 in the morning. I left my house 5:30 in the morning. I took 4 hours from Karen to Gichabe Tanof. 4 hours, and it was very difficult. In fact, I made a mistake. I said, let me turn back so that I can leave the following day at around maybe 2 a.m. I took another 4.5 hours from Gichabe Tanof to Karen, Honorable Speaker. So I was excited when the President said this coming Friday, they are going to commission and launch the dualing of Rironi, Mount Summit Road, Rironi, Maimai, Naivasha Road, Honorable Speaker. This will save the country a lot of resources. We are wasting a lot of money. We are wasting a lot of time getting into that gridlock. Even this particular weekend, Honorable Speaker, on Friday, when we overflew there are people who got stuck there for over 4 hours. So this was long overdue, and we want to thank the President for coming into our aid to ensure that road, basically, Honorable Speaker, and other roads dual, Honorable Speaker. And then the one, Karen, Kaleria, all the way to Ngong, all the way to Rongai. If you ask those who live in Rongai, Honorable Speaker, they leave their houses 5 in the morning to come and work in Nairobi, instead of spending like 15 minutes from Rongai to Nairobi. So this will really help. Honorable Speaker, on agriculture, there is this thing, the pesticides, Honorable Speaker. There are those that have been banned, and they're still getting imported to the country. I don't know what KEBS and AFA are doing. They need to save. Maybe this is the reason why there is a lot of cancer in the country. We need to stop these imports, Honorable Speaker, so that we can save our people from dying that are necessary, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also wanted to speak on health. I'm happy, Honorable Speaker, that it's being reported across everywhere that SHA is working. SHA is really working. But I think there is an issue that they need to tweak. People are registering in SHA. They have reported 27 million, those who have reported. But we need to find a way where when they register, they also need to pay. They need to look at this mean testing issue that they have, because you can imagine an old mama in the village who don't have an income, they are being told to pay 550. And we promised that it will come down to 300. So they need to relook at this particular mean testing and see how they can tweak it so that we can have a flat rate for those who don't have any income, say 300 or whatever. Or the Ministry of Health, as it's been promised that they pay for them, Honorable Speaker, because there are those who go to the hospital and they don't get services because they have not paid. And some are forced to pay for 12 months. And 12 months, if you cannot afford 300, how can you afford to pay 3,600 before you get services? This is where the ministry needs to sit down and see how can they can streamline so that our people really get universal health coverage as we have been promised, Honorable Speaker. Finally, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the President also because of the markets that are being built using affordable houses funds. I want to thank him because of our stadiums. We have a stadium in Elgeyo-Marakwet County that we have talked for a long time, Kamarin Stadium. And I want to urge the Ministry of Sports to fast track, because that stadium, our athletes in Iten, and Iten is the international hub of training. And Kamarin Stadium has overstayed. We should be completing this stadium within the shortest time possible to assist our athletes. Athletes are the ones who are marketing the country. They are our ambassadors. They are making us proud. And this particular stadium and both Kipchoge have taken long. At least I'm happy Kipchoge is progressing very well. But Kamarin, the contractor, reported recently, and I'm told he is not on site now. I don't know what is ailing this particular project. I want to urge the ministry to move with speed so that our athletes can move back from Gibson Secondary School, where they are currently training, and go to Kamarin, where we'll have proper facilities, we have proper sanitation, and proper facilities to even test if there are any of athletes who will maybe undertake some topping, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, finally, Honorable Speaker, I want to talk about the issue of debt. You know, there is no way. We need to allow the executive to look for resources to develop the country. Even ourselves here, you can't grow if you don't borrow. You can't grow if you don't get a loan. So loans must be taken and loans must be paid. So we allow the country to borrow and give us services, and we pay taxes.
Next is Senator Mwinyi Haji Mohamed Faki.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii kuchangia hotuba ya Rais ambayo alitoa katika bunge wiki iliyokwisha. Kabla Senator Kisanga hajatoka, Mheshimiwa Spika, nilikuwa tunataka kumjulisha kwamba amezungumzia digital hubs katika kila ward. Lakini kule Mombasa niko na ward 30 na 90% ya ward hizo, Mheshimiwa Spika, hazina hizo digital hubs. Kwa hivyo anapozungumzia ward 1550 katika Kenya ambazo zina digital hubs, zile za Mombasa ambazo ni 30, 27 hazina hubs hizo ambazo amezungumzia. Mheshimiwa Spika, hotuba ya Rais ilitoa matumaini na vile vile pia ikaleta biwi la giza, kwa sababu kuna mambo mengi ambayo aliyazungumzia lakini yana changamoto nyingi. Mheshimiwa Spika, hotuba ile ilitoa taswira kwamba mambo ni shwari katika nchi ya Kenya, kwamba tuko katika barabara ya kwenda Singapore. Tutakutana na Singapore hapo mbele kwa siku za usoni. Lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, tukiangalia kwa ndani maisha ya Mkenya hivi sasa, zile changamoto ambazo Wakenya wanapitia, Mheshimiwa Spika, utaona kwamba safari ya Singapore bado iko mbali sana. Mheshimiwa Spika, kweli barabara na miundombinu ndio tunaweza kusema jambo ambalo litaleta maendeleo katika nchi yetu. Lakini vile vile elimu, afya kwa wananchi wetu, na vile vile pia hali ya uchumi ni vitu muhimu sana ambavyo lazima tuweze kuvizingatia ili tuweze kufikia upeo wa maendeleo. Mheshimiwa Spika, maelezo kwamba atajenga barabara ni mambo ya kutia moyo, kwa sababu mara nyingi usafiri unakuwa shida kwa wakulima kuleta bidhaa zao katika masoko. Vile vile usafiri wa biashara, Mheshimiwa Spika, pia imekuwa ni shida kwa sehemu fulani. Kwa mfano, Mheshimiwa Spika, safari ya gari ya basi hivi sasa kutoka Nairobi kuja Mombasa, kwenda Mombasa, inachukua takriban masaa 10, ambapo SGR wanakupeleka kwa masaa 4, ndege ni dakika 45. Iwapo ile barabara ingejengwa barabara mbili, ya kwenda na ya kurudi, ingekuwa ni rahisi, Mheshimiwa Spika, watu kusafiri kwenda Mombasa kwa biashara kwa muda usiopungua masaa 4. Mheshimiwa Spika, tumeona kweli nyumba zinajengwa za kisasa, lakini nyumba hizi nyingi, Mheshimiwa Spika, hazijakuwa katika uwezo wa wananchi wa Kenya. Wengi wao bado, ukiangalia payslip zao, haziwaruhusu kuchukua nyumba hizi kwa sababu nyumba yenyewe bado ziko juu. Vile vile, Mheshimiwa Spika, tukiangalia uchumi, leo asubuhi nilikuwa ninasoma gazeti na nikaona mkurugenzi mkuu wa Banki Kuu ya Kenya, Dr. nimesahau jina lake, lakini anasema kwamba deni hivi sasa limefikia trilioni 11.8, yani 11.8 trillion ndio deni linalodaiwa Kenya kwa sasa. Mheshimiwa Spika, deni hili liko sehemu ambalo ni la nyumbani, yani domestic debt, na ile foreign debt, Mheshimiwa Spika. Na kwa sababu ya uchumi wetu haufanyi vizuri na kuna shida ya fedha katika uchumi, inakuwa ni shida, Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa serikali kuweza kulipa madeni yake, na hiyo itapelekea kwamba iwapo hatutakuwa waangalifu, siku za usoni tutashindwa kulipa madeni haya, na nchi yetu itaweza kuwekwa katika orodha ya zile nchi ambazo zimeshindwa kulipa madeni, na hivyo basi hali ya uchumi itakuwa inazidi kudidimia. Mheshimiwa Spika, tukiangalia hivi sasa tunachukua pesa za wafanyakazi kupitia kwa housing levy, zinakusanywa, alafu pesa zile tunanunua treasury bills kwa Central Bank. Tunachukua pesa tunazikopesha Central Bank, na Central Bank inatukopesha sisi, inatukopesha tena nchi ili iweze kufanya miradi. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, tunazidi kujibandikiza madeni na riba, ambayo riba ile, Mheshimiwa Spika, mara nyingine inakuwa zaidi ya zile deni ambalo limechukuliwa, kwa sababu hatuwezi kulipa zile pesa ambazo tunalipwa kama riba kutoka kwa Central Bank, hazilingani na zile pesa ambazo Central Bank inatuchaji sisi wakati wanatupa mikopo ya kinyumbani. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, swala hilo la uchumi ni lazima liangaliwe kwa undani zaidi, kwa sababu rais hawezi kutupa sura kwamba mambo ni shwari wakati mkurugenzi mkuu wa Central Bank anasema kwamba tuko katika hali mbaya ya madeni. Mheshimiwa Spika, jambo la pili, tunajenga viwanda. Utaona kwamba kuna kaunti takriban 25 zilipewa pesa katika muhula wa mwaka jana, mwaka 2024-25, kujenga zile vituo vya viwanda, industrial parks katika maeneo yao. Mheshimiwa Spika, tulitarajia kwamba kwa mwaka huu wa fedha, mwaka 2025-26, wataweza kuongeza kaunti nyingine ili tuweze kumaliza kaunti zote 47, lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, jambo hilo halikuweza kufanyika kwa sababu pesa hazikuweza kutimia. Hivyo basi waliweza kutoa tu pesa kwa zile kaunti ambazo zilipata mwaka jana fedha hizo ili waweze kumaliza vile vituo. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, tunaona kwamba hata kama ni kimaendeleo kaunti haziendi sawa sawa. Kuna nyingine zinapata nafasi zaidi kuliko nyingine. Kwa hivyo kujenga nchi ya Kenya ili iwe kwa sawa sawa na nchi ya Singapore, Mheshimiwa Spika, itakuwa ni ndoto. Vile vile Mheshimiwa Spika, tukiangalia kaunti zetu nyingi, nikizungumzia kaunti za Pwani, hazina maji Mheshimiwa Spika. Tutajenga viwanda vipi ikiwa hakuna maji, hata maji ya kunywa? Tutajenga viwanda, tutajenga majumba vipi, affordable housing? Wale watu ambao wataishi katika zile nyumba watapata maji wapi Mheshimiwa Spika? Ukija Mombasa Mheshimiwa Spika, hivi sasa utaona magari ya kuuza maji, water boozers, imekuwa ni biashara nzuri. Kila mtu ananunua water boozer aweze kuuza maji. Tutajenga nyumba, kwa mfano ukienda katika katikati ya mji wa Mombasa hivi sasa Mheshimiwa Spika, utapata watu wana mikokoteni wanazungusha maji, wanafanya biashara ya maji ya mikokoteni. Maji haya Mheshimiwa Spika, hatujui yametoka wapi, labda si safi kwa mwananchi kunywa. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, hatuwezi kuendelea ikiwa mambo madogo madogo haya ambayo ni ya kimsingi, very basic, ukosefu wa maji Mheshimiwa Spika, hatuwezi kuendelea ikiwa tutakuwa hatuna maji. Mheshimiwa Spika, afya, amezungumzia afya na akasema kwamba takriban Wakenya milioni 27 wamejiandikisha kwa SHA. Lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, tukiangalia huduma za SHA, kila sehemu kuna malalamiko. Kuna malalamiko. Wale ambao wanatibiwa kansa Mheshimiwa Spika, akitibiwa raundi moja ya kansa, therapy ikifanyika kwa nafasi ya kwanza, akirudi nafasi ya pili anaambiwa hakuna tena, wewe subiri mpaka mwaka ujao, ama ulipe malipo ya mwaka utakaofuata. Haya Mheshimiwa Spika, haimaanishi kwamba, haionyeshi kwamba hii SHA inafanya kazi. Ni ndoto Mheshimiwa Spika, na hata katika sheria imeelezwa kwamba SHA malengo ni kutoa huduma ya afya kwa kila mwana Kenya. Ndio maana sisi kama wabunge Mheshimiwa Spika, tunalipishwa karibu 30,000. Na yule Mkenya ambaye yuko katika biashara ya jua kali ama hana kazi analipa shilingi 500 kwa mwezi. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, haiwezekani kwamba SHA wananchi wanakatiwa, waliojiunga ni milioni 27, lakini wale ambao wanapata huduma hizi ni wachache sana, na kwa sababu ya utepetevu na vile vile pia ukosefu wa mwongozo kuhusiana na swala hili la huduma. Mheshimiwa Spika, ukenda katika mahospitali mengi hivi sasa, wananchi wamebakia katika mahospitali kwa sababu SHA inakulipia asilimia fulani ya ile deni lako. Zamani NHIF Mheshimiwa Spika, ilikuwa inakulipia katika huduma hospitali za serikali, walikuwa wanakulipia deni lote la hospitali. Lakini sasa SHA inakulipia asilimia fulani. Mheshimiwa Spika, tukikuzia mambo ya usalama, bado tunaona watu wanapotea katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Kifo cha mwalimu mwanabloga Ojwang katika mikono ya polisi Mheshimiwa Spika, ni jambo ambalo bado halijatatuliwa. Ufisadi Mheshimiwa Spika, tumeona kwamba ufisadi pia bado unaendelea katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Na wakati serikali hii ya Kenya Kwanza ilipochaguliwa, waliapa kupambana na ufisadi. Mheshimiwa Spika, jambo lingine lina ajira. Serikali imetambua kwamba haiwezi kuajiri kila mtu. Ndio maana sasa kuna mpango wa ajira majuu ama ajira katika nchi za nje. Lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, huwezi kutarajia kuku wako azae mayai wakati humwangalii vizuri. Tukiangalia wale wanaokwenda kufanya kazi nchi za nje Mheshimiwa Spika, jambo la kwanza, hawana uzoefu yale mazingira ambayo watayapata katika maeneo yale. Utapata wengi wakifika kule wanapata mazingira magumu na wengi wanakimbia zile kazi. Kwa mfano wale wanaokwenda Mheshimiwa Spika katika nchi ya Saudi Arabia na kwingineko katika Gulf, utapata kwamba wengi hawajui lugha ya Kiarabu. Inakuwa mawasiliano wao na waajiri wao inakuwa ni shida. Baada ya muda Mheshimiwa Spika, wale wanatoroka makazi yale, na balozi zetu katika maeneo yale Mheshimiwa Spika, hazijakuwa na uwezo wa kuweza kusaidia wa Kenya hawa. Utapata kwamba labda katika nchi nzima, Mheshimiwa Spika, afisa wa leba katika balozi zile ni mtu mmoja peke yake. Kwa hivyo inakuwa shida kwa ndugu zetu hawa wanaofanya kazi kule sehemu za nje kuweza kupata msaada wakati wako na matatizo katika zile kazi zao. Wengi, Mheshimiwa Spika, wanakimbia zile kazi baada ya kufanya kwa muda mchache, na hivyo basi inaleta matatizo kwa jamii zao, huku wengine wanapoteza maisha kule, Mheshimiwa Spika, na iwapo mtu hana kiongozi ambaye anaweza kumsimamia, mara nyingi inakuwa shida hata kupata ule mwili kuurejesha katika nchi ya Kenya, Mheshimiwa Spika. Hivi sasa, Mheshimiwa Spika, ninavyozungumza ni kwamba kuna kijana ambaye alisafiri kwenda Kuwait, na wakati warudi akifika Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, aliweza kuzuiliwa na mpaka sasa yuko jela pale Addis Ababa. Na japokuwa balozi imejaribu kuweza kusaidia, lakini bado hajaweza kusaidika Mkenya yule. Mheshimiwa Spika, mwingine alizuiliwa kule Oman, katika nchi ya Oman, Muscat, ambao pia alikwenda kufanya kazi, akakosana na tajiri akazuia pasipoti yake, na hivyo sasa hakuweza kusafiri na polisi wamemshika, na hivi sasa bado pia yuko ndani ya jela kuweza kusubiri hatima yake kurejeshwa nchini ya Kenya. Kwa hiyo, Mheshimiwa Spika, japokuwa ni jambo zuri kuwatafutia ajira vijana wetu kule katika sehemu za nje, lakini ajira hizi, Mheshimiwa Spika, lazima ziwe ni ajira ambazo ni za kuaminika, na vile vile balozi zetu zilizoko katika nchi ya nje, Mheshimiwa Spika, lazima ziwe na msaada kwa watu hawa, ili mtu akitoka hapa Kenya akienda kufanya kazi nje, balozi inajua mtu huyo anakwenda kufanya kazi wapi, mwajiri wake ni nani, na labda iwapo atakuwa na dharura ama atakuwa na shida, ataweza kusaidika vipi kupitia kwa balozi yetu katika nchi zile za nje. Mheshimiwa Spika, nchi nyingine ajira katika sehemu za nje ni kitega uchumi kikubwa. Ukiangalia kwa mfano nchi ya Philippines, wana wizara maalum ya kusimamia mambo haya ya ajira, na wanapata pesa nyingi katika pesa za kigeni, na hizo inasaidia pia kujaribu kusawazisha masuala ya uchumi katika nchi hili. Kwa hiyo, Mheshimiwa Spika, japokuwa hotuba hii ya rais imeweza kutoa taswira nzuri ya nchi, lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, tukiangalia kwa undani kabisa, kuna matatizo mengi ambayo yako katika nchi yetu. Kwa mfano, Mheshimiwa Spika, hivi sasa na majuzi bunge la kitaifa lilikuwa linapitisha mswada kwamba bei ya umeme iongezwe katika nchi yetu. Kwa hiyo, Mheshimiwa Spika, ikiwa tunaongeza bei ya umeme na tayari bei yetu iko juu kuliko nchi jirani, kwa mfano nchi ya Ethiopia, hata nchi ya Tanzania, Uganda, Mheshimiwa Spika, Misri, ambapo hao ndio tunaopambana nao katika COMESA.
Senator, give him 1 minute to conclude. Senator Faki, take 1 minute.
Kwa hiyo, Mheshimiwa Spika, hizo ndizo nchi ambazo kiviwanda tunatakana tushindane nazo ili tuweko na nafasi nzuri katika COMESA katika eneo letu la Afrika Mashariki na ya Kati. Kwa hiyo, Mheshimiwa Spika, ikiwa uchumi bei yetu ya uchumi, yani bei yetu ya umeme, electricity, itakuwa iko juu hapa nchini Kenya, Mheshimiwa Spika, ina maana kwamba bidhaa zetu ambazo tutatengeneza kupitia kwa viwanda vyetu zitakuwa ziko bei ya juu, na hivyo basi hazitakuwa attractive ama hazitakuwa nzuri katika soko, na hivyo basi tutashindwa na zile nchi nyingine kiuchumi, kwa sababu bidhaa zao zitakuwa zina nafasi nzuri ya kununuliwa kwa sababu bei yake ni chini kutokana na gharama ndogo ya uchumi. Mheshimiwa Spika, asante kwa kunipa fursa hii.
Senator Mudhama Agnes Kavindo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to put my points also about the State of the Nation address by the President Mr. Speaker, I just want to touch on a few things that are completely not working in this country. And I will start with SHA. Mr. Speaker, every day I receive so many calls from my people of Machakos complaining about SHA. First of all, when we had the NHIF, people could pay quarterly or 6 months and then they complete the year. These days they are told to pay whole complete year, 7,000. And after paying for that, they go see a doctor and the doctor prescribes medication for them to go and buy after they have already spent all the money that they had. That's a big challenge, Mr. Speaker. When we had NHIF, cancer patients were being treated free of charge. Mr. Speaker, when we had also the Linda Mama, our mothers used to go to the hospital, deliver their babies, and they are even given diapers to go back home with, free of charge, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is a shame because most of the mothers these days, once they deliver and they have not paid this other system, they are retained in hospitals together with those babies. Imagine an infant being retained in a hospital for lack of payments. This child is very innocent, and this is something that the president should talk to the concerned people, and because health is devolved, Mr. Speaker, I think more money should be devolved so that our health systems can work properly, because there is a lot of challenges in health. Another one is education. No capitation in schools. I've done a statement here complaining about schools which have been closed down because the government owes the schools a lot of money and the capitation money has not been released. It is still the same. And so that is an issue that should be checked on so that we can say that education is working. When you go to ECD classes, the governors are having challenges of even employing teachers. Why? Because they are claiming that they don't have enough money. There are not even enough classes. When you go there on your oversight mission, they tell you that there is no money. Go and defend us. Release more money to the counties. And that is the complaint, Mr. Speaker. And I don't know if the people who are in these ministries are telling the president exactly what is happening in their ministries, that they may devolve more monies, because every function follows, money. Once a function is devolved, it must follow, money must follow the function. The other thing is about security. Security is a big issue in our country. I know safety begins with us, security begins with us, but when we talk of Gen Zs who are being killed left, right, and center, abductions, something must be done. And the president, sometimes back, promised that they were going to compensate the Gen Zs who were killed. To date, they've not been compensated, because I have one Rex Masai, who the mother still calls me about compensation, and many others. These are issues that the president should address and put them back so that Kenyans can move forward. Another thing is affordable housing. This affordable housing, everyone working with a payslip is deducted money for building these affordable houses. And the same houses are built on the land which belongs to the government of Kenya. And the people who are building their houses still sell the houses. The houses are built with our own money. The same houses are sold to us. And they are actually not, the right people who should be receiving those houses don't even get them. These houses are owned by very rich people, not the poor. The poor who get them are very few, but majority of them are owned by very rich people. And this is something that the president should look into. And I don't think the people who are concerned are telling him the truth about this. The president must know the truth about the affordable houses. The other thing is that I've seen demolitions going on in this country in the name of building affordable houses. Like right now here in Nairobi, there are demolitions that are going on, and those people are sleeping out and it is raining. Before the demolition, so that the affordable houses can be built, these people should be moved into a safe place so that they can be in a safe place. Then the demolition goes on, and after the affordable houses are built, I expect the same people to be the first ones who should own those houses. But it is not like that. These houses are being owned by very rich people, and the president should look into this. The other thing is corruption that is going on in this country, and especially where land is concerned. Mr. President should look into this, and I don't think the minister, the CS for lands, is telling the president the truth. I've had issues in Machakos of land. Mabonyenye too, they come and buy those lands from the poor. The poor are being kicked out in the name of their squatters. But even squatters in this country has a right to own a land and to live in a safe and safe place. Mr. Speaker, the other thing I want to address is about employment. I thank God there are many people who are being taken out of this country for employment. But majority of them are suffering wherever they go. Wherever they go, like especially those who are in Arab countries, they really suffer. Our girls there are suffering. They even have children. Some of them are raped by the employers. As a result, they give birth to children. Those children are in the streets outside the country. I challenge the president and the CS for Foreign Affairs to bring those children back home because they belong here, because they are born by birth, they are Kenyans, and they should not be left outside there to suffer, to continue suffering. We want to hear the good side of Kenya and the bad side of Kenya. And because my work is oversight, I'll only deal with the bad side of it. Mr. Speaker, I also want to talk about the 1998 bomb blast, which was not addressed in this. These people have been suffering for the last 27 good years, waiting for compensation. And what is remaining for them to be compensated is just an amendment of a law in the Senate of the US and the Congress so that these people can be compensated. And we are not demanding for American money. We are demanding for the money that is there to compensate these people. And I wonder why every president of this country is quiet about it. And I challenge the president of today that he may take over this issue, because I'm sure it has been given to him. We have done it, and I'm even going to meet with the liaison committee again so that they can give me more days to continue pushing on this. I will not stop as long as I'm in this Senate until these people are compensated. And I challenge the president and the CS for Foreign Affairs to take over and take up this issue, because our people died. They must be compensated. Kenyans, Al-Qaeda was not fighting with Kenya. They were fighting with America, and we took the bullets of America. And so I'll continue pushing, and I call upon the president, the CS for Foreign Affairs, and everybody who is concerned. These people are dying. They are dying in poverty. Even Kenyan Ministry of Health does not even supply them with medication. Some of them are totally blind. Some of them are lame that they cannot even work again. And the government of Kenya is doing nothing about it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me reach there. I can go on and on and on. But let me reach there with my complaints. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Kavindu. Now, Honorable Senators, from my dashboard, there is no other member interested in contributing to the debate. And in the absence of the majority leader who is supposed to reply to this motion, I will defer reply to the next sitting of this House. Clerk, could you please call the next order?
Order number 9, motion report of the proceedings of the Parliamentarians Dialogue at the Africa Climate Summit 2023, held in the National Assembly Chamber, Parliament Buildings, Nairobi, on 3rd to 6th September 2023.
This is a motion by Senator Moses Kajwang, who is also absent in the chamber. That motion is deferred. Next order.
Order number 10, motion, report of the proceedings of the high-level political forum of the Interparliamentary Union, held in New York, United States of America, on 22nd July 2025.
This motion is by Senator Fatuma Dulo, MP. She's not in the chamber. That motion is deferred. Let's call the next order, clerk.
Order number 11, motion, provision of IFMIS reports for county governments to the Senate.
Senator Andrew Omtata Okoiti, who is supposed to be the mover of this motion, is absent. That motion is deferred. Next order.
Order number 12, motion, mainstreaming gender perspectives in legislative and policy processes.
Senator Veronica Maina is not in the chamber. The motion is hereby deferred. Next order.
Order number 13, motion, mainstreaming a framework for clean cooking in Kenya.
Similarly, Senator Hamida Kibwana, who is supposed to move this motion, is not in the chamber, and therefore it's deferred to the next sitting. With that, honorable members may rise. Now, honorable senators, there being no other business on the order paper, the Senate stands adjourned until later today, Wednesday, 26 November 2025 at 2:30 p.m.